Hello, everyone. My name is Sorlo. I am the creator and curator of this place, the Virtual Furry Museum. Um, I never thought I would have to do this or make a video like this, but I recently lost my job that I had worked in for 10 years. I was harassed by a particular employee, and it was pretty clear that the problems and issues were not going to go away. I presented every evidence that I had to HR and to everyone in the business, but unfortunately, they decided to just split us up permanently. It's kind of a shame because I had done so much good work for them over the years, and it wasn't even the person who hired me that made this decision. That person was on leave for medical issues, and it's quite ironic that I had medical issues myself. So yeah, it's a number of challenges, a number of issues that I'm going to be facing with. I have type 1 diabetes, so I require insulin to live. I require medical supplies constantly. I have an insulin pump and Dexcom CGM kind of injection sites, continuous glucose monitoring, and then the injection sites for the pump, and all of those supplies cost money, and my living costs money. I needed to go on the Affordable Care Act, the marketplace, in order to find healthcare. I still didn't receive any information about that. But I did apply. I applied for food stamps. I'm applying for what I can. And I'm trying to get connected as well to try and find a new job. But because of my medical disabilities, I can't really go anywhere. I've fallen flat on jobs before because they wouldn't give me the breaks that I needed and the food that I needed in order to just stay alive whenever I had a blood sugar episode. And those happen. There were times I had to be on the phone for 8 hours with insurance because I wasn't getting my supplies. And that's just not one day, but multiple days. It was persistent issues. So I really can't go to work at a job. Otherwise, I risk not getting the supplies and the insulin medications I need. So I never thought that this day would come, but here we are. And it's crazy that this is all happening at the same time that I'm nominated for a Good Furry Award. So yeah, if you haven't already voted, please go to the website. I'll go ahead and link it down below, and you can cast your vote. Please only cast your vote once. Cast one vote and not more, otherwise all your votes get disqualified. There are some really cool people on that list who've been nominated, and it really is honestly an honor to be nominated at all. One of my heroes, Panda Paco, whose art is actually standing up on the banner right there, had been a huge inspiration for me being in the fandom, and also someone who inspired me on the importance and the value of friendship. I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for him. He was also nominated. So winning the award, if that happens, would be incredible. I don't expect it though. I mean, there's a lot of work that I do for the museum, and mainly the number one thing that I just want from everyone is to be kind and respect each other. That's all that I had ever asked of anyone coming to this place. There were people who wanted to donate, and I turned them away, saying this is a free project. It's free to access for everybody. The information, the education should be free. But right now, I'm at risk of not being able to keep my home or stay in this place or even stay alive because of losing my job. And finding a new job is becoming exceedingly difficult. So for the first time ever, and I'd already spoken with artists about this, they are okay with me asking for donations to the museum. So the way I'm going to be doing that is I have a website that is still work in progress, but it shows a lot of what is in the museum, what we do here, as well as some information on exhibits coming up. For a lot of what I do, a lot of the research that I conduct here, I talk with a lot of different furries who belong to a lot of different subgroups, and I ask them about their experiences. And then I gather and collate all those experiences together, and I use that to create and produce displays. And even if you had been to the museum 3 years ago, on the presentations, the information is always changing. When new information comes to light, that helps us to understand a little bit more about each other. I've heard from several groups who really want representation here, who have not received proper representation before, and it's groups that I do want to cover, but development of the museum is difficult. It requires a lot of people willing to provide information, and it also requires a lot of time for me to gather that information. There was someone who said, oh, well, music furries aren't really treated very well in the fandom. They're kind of given the shaft, so to speak, at various conventions, and then they're not able to find, if they go in the dealer's den, they don't really see representation for themselves in there. And it would be nice to cover their experiences, at least show that there is a vibrant community of DJs and musicians and performers, bands that are furry. But I told that person, if you want an exhibit, it takes a year. And I saw something kind of snap in his mind where he's like, oh, he didn't realize it takes that long and that much work. But yes, if I bring just one person into the museum, it takes many hours to gather their stories, and just to feature them. And to cover something as big as music, I would have to talk with a lot of people. The museum is expanding. There are more exhibits coming. There's more people I would like to highlight. Most famously, the ABDL community, which in the past has been rife with misconceptions. But then talking with people and listening to people, I learned so much. There's a lot of trans people in the community who weren't able to live their childhood as their affirmed gender, and this community is allowing them to do that. A lot of people have suffered traumatic experiences in childhood, and they're using the community in order to replace those bad memories with positive ones among each other. There's also people who just wear diapers because of medical reasons, because they had to. And they actually lost their lovers. They lost all of their friends because people didn't understand or didn't care. And it was through this community, the baby for the ABDL community in the furry fandom, that they were able to make some friends and receive some help from people who said, what you're going through is not a problem with you. Like, you are okay for who you are. And I want to feature their stories in the museum. I want to also show how important and vital they are to this fandom, because so many of our community leaders are members of this community, but they're afraid to come forward and share because of the misconceptions. When I first started the museum, of course, I didn't expect to cover so much different furry subcultures, but it was pretty obvious making the first 2 rooms that it wasn't really representing furry. So then that third room, which was the quote-unquote weird room, ended up becoming a space for a lot of our different subcultures. There's Hearth Fox, who's a Therian. His stories about being a Therian are being corroborated by other Therians who come on tours, and they all share their stories. It brings people closer together. And then some of the information I present on tours, people say they used to hate that community, but now they hate it less. And then they start to realize and find out that so many different friends of theirs are in those communities, and it's helping so many different people. So it started off just as an art project, but it became something so vital in representing the fandom and in teaching and educating the fandom to each other. And I want that work to continue. Silas Sable was my friend. I was his best friend for the last year of his life, and I say it like that because initially I didn't want to be. He came in and he was really upset that there wasn't old furry art in here, but this is a contemporary art museum. It wasn't meant to cover history, but for half an hour he kept pushing on me the importance of covering history, and so I did, and we figured it out, and together over hundreds of hours of communicating on Discord and hearing stories and gathering documents and corroborating with others, the exhibit was made, and you're able to see furry history here. By the end of it, he said, there are two great places to learn about the history of the fandom. The Fandom documentary by Ash Coyote, which he was a massive star, and this museum. And then, of course, when he passed away, the very first thing I did was I made a song, and the music that is in Silas's memorial. And that memorial room is so beautiful. There were people who stream regularly in VR chat and said it was the most beautiful room they had ever been in. I tried very hard to gather as much stories from Silas as I possibly could, and feature those stories in the museum. If you go back to the people who submitted those stories, they can corroborate with you their feelings and what they said. Some of the people that Silas touched, including myself, it was phenomenal. The impact that he had on others, and I really hope that we don't lose that in history. There's information that exists only in the museum because I work directly one-on-one with the artists and with the contributors in order to get their stories in here, so I can tell them and share it accurately. But this is a big, long project that I had sunk, I want to say, about 10,000 hours into. It was 3 years worth of work coming up this October. And the work is continuing, it's ongoing. But the things that I'm covering now it's not as easy as just asking an artist to come in and then to add a bio, verify a bio. It is asking entire communities. It is asking dozens of people from many different walks of life all over the world about their experiences, so that we can share information that many people do not know. I also speak with people who are researchers of the furry fandom, so they can have these stories when they talk about the fandom, and they're absolutely amazed at what's being done in this place and how it's helping. As far as how this museum actually helps people, I can say there were people who regularly didn't feel so good about the fandom, but then they came here and it reminded them what they loved. A lot of people share that they They had very good experiences on the tour. They learned so much. There were people who felt so validated in who they are, either as a furry, as someone who is LGBTQ. There actually is a display on the history of LGBTQ right back there, right behind that pillar. And some of these things are presented to community leaders as well, so they can have a better understanding of the fandom and understand the people and who they are. Even before the content is released publicly, I share that information, and the information goes both ways. I also share so my concerns with leaders, and then I can share with different individual members what I've learned and heard from others. When people ask questions, I hope that this place can be somewhere that people can get answers. But right now, I need your help in order to keep this place running, in order to make sure that we're able to continue doing this. There's been so much good work that happened through the museum. I remembered there was a time when, in No Time to Talk, when it was a very public world, the perception of furries was very low. But then after I made this museum, more people were curious, and they started asking questions, and they started wanting to build up a proper understanding of who we genuinely are and how this community is genuinely helping people. I hope that the good work continues. I hope that the research that comes into this place continues to help and inspire others. I hope that the beauty behind these walls continues to inspire those who also in turn make beautiful things for the fandom. And I hope that the history in this place is preserved for future generations to know who we are and why we are and what we're doing and how it's helping. I hope to turn back the hate and the stigma against furries. I hope to improve the tolerance that we have for each other. I hope to educate and really help as much as possible, but I need your help. So I'm going to link my Patreon. $5 a month is the minimum support, just because that's what I think would be fair. And you can get your name on the wall. And then if you increase the amount of money you donate, you can get bigger stickers or bigger pictures on the wall. And if you get some of the higher tier options, I can actually make some of that art for you. And you can have your own solo commission in the museum. I also want to give some one-on-one time with people who would like some help with their own projects, or people who have their own questions about the fandom. And I really hope that through your donations, this museum can continue to operate and function, and I can continue to live. Obviously, I'm going to keep continuing to try and find a job, but it's always been a dream of mine to make the virtual furry museum my main job. And unfortunately, I didn't mean for it to happen this way, but I think it would be very nice if it could. So, you guys have been coming to the museum and enjoyed it for 3 years. If you'd been following along with the development for that long, it launched publicly on April 2nd, 2023, and it has been a highlight of so many people's experiences in VR chat. So if you want this to continue, please go to my Patreon, help support me, and spread the word about the website. I hope that there are some negative media and information circling around about the fandom right now, And there's quite a lot of hate on social media, and there's a lot of stigma in the world of furry, especially from people who don't understand. So please, as best as you can, be kind to one another. You don't know the other person's story or what they're going through. And hopefully through a place like this, you'll be able to learn more. And I hope to see all of you on a tour of the Virtual Furry Museum when you can. So once again, please check the website and share it with your friends. Go ahead and, if you can, pitch in something to my Patreon. Anything helps out. Any little thing helps out. And the Good Furry Awards have their votes open right now, so you can go ahead and vote. And I highly recommend you consider me for the Good Image Award for furries. Trying to think if there's anything else. Anything else I want to mention? I think that's all I really need to mention right now. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you again. Take care.